So I've collected a few notes and I wanted to talk about something that I mentioned recently. I personally don't think that games should be $70. I think the price point is too high. And I think these companies charging $60 for games are already making so much money. It is absolutely ridiculous to say that we need to pay more as consumers to make a great product. Let's talk a little bit about why I think that and dive into some of the numbers for what they pay their QA testers, what they pay their game designers, their game creators, and potentially how this could be a little bit better, at least for the people actually creating the games we love. Let's get into it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell to know when they go live. So I have collected some notes from Glassdoor, from various websites like Macro Trends to talk about how much these companies are making profit-wise and why I don't think you should be paying more so that the companies can have a higher earnings call number to share with their people. So first things first, one of the most surprising statements that you're probably going to hear from me if you're a fanboy or you hate me is that I actually think, looking at the numbers, Sony probably handles how they release their games at the $70 price point the best. I still don't agree with it, but basically they do a few things. They have a few different SKUs for their releases. They've made it very clear that previous generation will be $60 and next generation will be $70. And the value proposition is there. People know they're getting a good product when they spend $70 on a game. Consumers feel happy with their purchase, and they understand that they're getting a premium product that will likely be a good experience. So that's my 2 cents on Sony. And the reason that I give them the nod is because actually when you look at their games, like The Last of Us 2, there aren't microtransactions for The Last of Us 2. There's no shop you can go into. Yes, there was for the original Last of Us. But you can say the same thing about Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. You go into Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I don't believe there is any sort of store, but there's definitely not one for Last of Us 2 that I saw, which is great. Not one readily apparent anyway. Nothing you can buy in the store, no form of credits, etc. So that out of the way, I do want to talk about why I still think that the profit margin for these companies is absolutely ridiculous. I think the most egregious that we all know about off the top of our head is Activision. Activision has, always posted ridiculous profits. I've collected all the profits for the company, so let's start with that. Activision in 2021, this is from macrotrends.net. Activision Blizzard revenue for the 12 months ending September 30th, 2020 was $9 billion, a 20% increase year over year. Activision gross profit for the 12 months ending September 30th, 2021 was $6.5 billion. So how come we have to pay $10 for more games if you're making $6.5 billion? I understand that a lot of you out there are just going to be like, that's how the market works. I get it. But I don't buy that we should be the one footing that bill, especially from a company like Activision, who crams microtransactions all throughout their games. Going down the list, EA. Let's talk about EA profit in 2021. Electronic Arts revenue for the 12 months ending September 30th, 2021 was $6.396 billion, a 14.42 increase year over year. So congratulations. You're making another $1 billion in 2021. Electronic Arts gross profit for the 12 months ending September 30th, 2021 was $4.667 billion, a 10.1 increase year over year. So $4.6 billion. Now, Sony and Xbox's revenue statistics, I can't, Ubisoft is a private company, I believe still, so their numbers are hidden, or at least they weren't listed on the website that I used to collect these other numbers, and I wanted to use the same source for each to be fair. And just remember, Sony sells televisions and stuff too, and Microsoft obviously Windows, etc., etc. So Sony's revenue for the 12 months ending September 30, 2021 was $88.51 billion, a 15.09 increase year over year. Sony's gross profit for the 12 months ending September 30th, 2021 was $37.6 billion, a 13.86% increase year over year. Let's talk about Xbox, or Microsoft in this case. Obviously going to be huge numbers because it's Microsoft. Microsoft revenue for the 12 months ending September 30, 2021 was $176.25 billion, 19.81% increase year over year. And Microsoft's gross profit for the 12 months ending September 30, 2021 was $121.375 billion, a 20.84% increase year over year. So I put this tweet out saying that I don't think that game should cost $70. John said, "You're right. Game devs put so much work into them. They should be minimum $150. John, do you really think that if games were $150 a game, that any of that money is going to go to the game developers, the people that are actually making those games? Likely not. They're going to go to CEO bonuses and the upper executive branch of the company. Now, we don't really know what's going on at Microsoft, but we have some insight into how some of these companies pay their employees via Glassdoor, etc. You can't look up Xbox. You can look up PlayStation, though. So PlayStation, a game designer makes $85,000 a year. They pay their interns $33 an hour, which is great. A QA analyst, however, makes $14 an hour. EA pays on the lower end, their QAs, $11 an hour, according to Glassdoor. Ubisoft, I forgot to get the listing for QAs at Ubisoft. Activision pays their QA $13 to $14. Senior QAs are bumped up to around $16. So evening that out, $15 an hour, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks in a year, that's $31,200, which is not a livable wage in California. Ubisoft pays their game designers $87,750. That's based on 13 Glassdoor salaries. EA pays their game designers $78,513 a year based on 32 salaries. Sony, these are the base listings for game designers, by the way. So Sony game designers make about $85,000 a year. Good pay on their interns. Microsoft surprisingly pays their QAs quite well. I was surprised to see that they make around $22 an hour. Interns $25 to $37. I did find one salary report on the Microsoft website at $15 an hour though, that's just too low. And then game designers make about $133,000 at Microsoft. So I think Microsoft is paying the best salary for their game designers. But once you move up in these other companies, obviously your salary increases, et cetera, et cetera. But then you look at what some of these CEOs are making in bonuses. So the Activision, we all know Bobby Kotick made $154 million in 2020 after firing about 200 people. EA, it's about $34.7 million for that was Andrew House, right? Ubisoft, I found a report that was about $925,000 for Yves Guillemot. Sony, now remember, Kaz Hirai ran all of Sony at one point. There was a report in 2015, I believe, or it was 2016. He made about $4.9 million. Kenichiro Yoshida, $3.67 million, and Satya Nadella, the $50 million. Satya Nadella makes $50 million. So my rant is just basically, I do not understand how as a consumer with all this information, you can go on Glassdoor and look for yourself at what these employees are paid for, the people that are actually, making the games that we all love and cherish. Your money doesn't go to them. Your money goes to obviously up the chain to the top paid people. So why do I need to pay 10 extra dollars so that they can figure out the flow of cash within their company? To me, the companies should figure out their cash distribution. Right now, it's widely known that tons of Activision workers are striking and fighting back against Activision, which is great. And one of their asks is that, hey, maybe Bobby Kotick shouldn't get $150 million for his salary bonus. It's just absolutely absurd. So why do I think we shouldn't pay $70 for games? These companies are making billions of dollars, and they're asking you to pay more now so that they can make more billions of dollars in pure profit. I just don't understand why anybody would walk into a store and say, I demand that I pay $10 more or $20 more for your product. It has to be a value proposition play, right? And I've talked about how I understand why consumers on the PlayStation are just like, I trust you. You've made so many good games. Here's 10 extra dollars for your product. Last of Us 2. I have a lot of faith in Naughty Dog. I have a lot of faith in Insomniac, these amazing companies that just haven't let down their consumers for so long. I get that. But these other companies who are putting in microtransactions, all these extra little cherry on top into their products, that's where it becomes problematic. And if you want to talk about the stuff that Sony does, that's sort of charging full price for their games on PC after they've been out for a few years. I know a lot of people don't like that. It took them a while to be very clear about why they're going to make their games $70. But yeah, I got to give them kudos for not doing microtransactions in most of their games. I greatly appreciate that. And I hope more companies stop shoving microtransactions into their games. The cat ears in Halo were something like $10 to the point where people were just had to be like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And it is. The microtransactions, it's $10 for a skin. And I just refuse to pay that. I think the only microtransaction I bought in a game was the Halo Battle Pass. I guess that's the closest thing you will ever see me buying in terms of a microtransaction in a game. I haven't spent money on a microtransaction since Destiny 1. Destiny 1 kind of broke me because basically that game went away and who cares about all the pumpkin heads and stuff that I bought. So I was just like, all right, I'm never spending money on a microtransaction again. I will either earn it in game or not get it because I am not falling for it anymore. And that's sort of my conclusion on the whole thing. I do not think consumers should be paying $70 for games. These companies make money not only from the game, from the art books, from the licensing of the action figures that they sell, from the novels that they end up writing and the comic books. And yes, they should be compensated for their work. Absolutely. But the issue is I don't feel like the funds are distributed properly at these companies, especially at a company like Activision with a CEO like Bobby Kotick. Probably he's listed on a website as one of the most grossly overpaid CEO in all of gaming. There are companies that handle it better. I believe, I think EA's took a pay cut, and EA also did something recently. So there are things going on. I have no idea how much Jim Ryan makes, for example. I have no idea how much Phil Spencer makes, but I'm sure it's a great salary. But when you're like, hey, Destin, you need to pay $70 for games, the value proposition has to be there. I think games from Insomniac, the value proposition is there. Returnal, one of my game of the year, value proposition is there. But when you start making me pay for Call of Duty, whatever year it is release, and Madden, whatever year it is release, and those are 70, and they're chock full of microtransactions, that it's a little bit less easy for me to get behind. Let me know what you think about the $70 price tag, because a lot of people are like, we have to support the developers, and I'm like, that's not where the money goes. You're not like, I just don't believe that the developers making Ubisoft paying their game designers $87,750 with a bonus structure is like how it should be going. And if you're in California, like you're taxed at like a 24% rate. So what's that leaves you? What, $50,000-$60,000 a year? I don't know. I'm bad at math. So yeah, 20, 40, 60, 80. Yeah. 22%. So that's like what, 22 grand. That's 65,000 a year. Game designers should be paid better. QA should be paid better. The whole asset distribution in the games industry should be evened out a little bit. And I am happy to hear that some companies are working on it, but that's just sort of my 2 cents. It's not my job to give you $10 more to sort that out. Hopefully they just sort that out, because that's what you should do as a company. Should be a leader in that space. And that's what I would love to see. So anyway, no, I don't think games should be $70, and I don't think I ever will. I am also cheap. I recognize that. But let me know what you think about this topic in the comments below. Thank you so much. You can click that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when they go live. If you want to become a member, memberships are turned on. You can support the channel if you choose to. And here's what I do. I turn off the ads. So there you go. And I respond to every single member comment. That is the value proposition I am able to offer you. I do appreciate you watching my video regardless. And I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.